Hello and welcome back to the channel. As most of you know, I'm Topher, and for those of you who don't know and just randomly decided to click on my video, welcome to the channel. I'm Topher. Thank you for stopping by as we dive into another ReactCeption video where we react to reactors. Sometimes we react to reactors reacting, sometimes we just react to reactors. This time we're just reacting to reactors, mainly myself, because I'm not going to copyright strike myself with things I'm going to react to. So we've done a couple of ReactCeption videos. Some of them have been to reactions that I've done in the past. Others have been just to some of my live performances. So right now we're going to look at another one of my live performances, because for people who don't know, I am a performer, and there are people who have been interested in seeing some of my stuff. I've made mention in a number of videos, channel updates and whatnot. I've been out of town, running back and forth with gigs here and there, and there are some people like, hey, why don't you share some of that stuff? I'm like, well, I have in the past, but you know, why not share some more for those who want to see? So I figured this time we would dive into a little bit of when I did Rent last summer, playing Tom Collins. It was one of my favorite roles that I've had the honor to play over the last decade or so that I've been performing. And yeah, so we're going to look at two bits. We're going to look at Seasons of Love, which has just me singing a little bit, and you know, it's a group. And then we're going to look at what I feel is like my big main song in the show. I'll cover you Reprise, but first let's look at Seasons of Love. And like I've done with past reactions to some of my stuff, I'm going to watch the video through first without giving very much commentary, if any, and then I'll rewatch it and give whatever little bits of feedback I have, and then go through it, just because this isn't available on YouTube anywhere, at least to the public, so you guys can watch it without hearing me talk first. So first we're going to dive into Seasons of Love.
In miles and
Latoya, the woman who had that, the female solo, both the female solos in that, she is insane. Oh my god, I love her. I love her. Oh, I've had the honor of performing with her a few times in different shows. It's always just such a blessing to just sit back and listen to her. The only thing that makes it difficult is, if you noticed, she had both female solos, so she sang first, and she tore the house down every damn time. Like, she was one of those people who, even though she was just singing like an ensemble role, she didn't have one of like the named characters in the show. She does not let the term ensemble or anything like that detract from the amount of commitment she gives to a role. She's like, okay, I'm gonna be on the ensemble, I'm gonna still perform the hell out of this. There's so many little side characters that she played throughout that got so much attention, so much praise from the audience, so many reactions from the audience, because she slays. And actually, we had 2 reviews written about our show. 2 reviewers came on different nights, and I think both of them called her out by name. One of them even put her name and my name in the title of the review, singing our praises. But like, both reviews called her out by name because she is incredible. But the bad thing about it, for me at least, is, you know, her being as incredible as she is, if we go back to that part where she started singing, see, you can hear the audience already like, woo, come on mama, sing. She's got that good, big, heavy gospel in her voice. See, the bad thing for me in that moment is my solo comes immediately after that. So not only do I have to follow that up, but most people never heard like the first 5 to 10 seconds of my solo because they were in just such an uproaring applause for the end of her solo every single night. So I'm going to take it back just a couple seconds. You'll hear what I'm saying. You can even see me back there right behind her because I'm standing right behind her and I'm sitting there like, yes, queen. I'm into what she is doing. See, so like every night, this one was a little bit moderately tame in comparison, but there were some nights there where it was such a roaring, thunderous applause for the end of just that first solo, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna come in, you guys aren't gonna hear what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna sing it anyway. And then by the time they finished applauding and whatnot for her, we were about halfway through my phrase and whatnot, and I'm like, okay. So that's the only downside to sharing the stage with Ms. Latoya McCormick. You gotta bring it, and you gotta make your peace with the fact that if she's singing before you, you're gonna get drowned out by thunderous applause. But we'll finish out that little phrase. God, I love her. She is so damn talented. Ugh. Makes me sick. Makes me sick and disgusted, but she's amazing. I love her to death. All right, so then the next bit we're going to look at, because that was just a little bit of me, is me singing, what did I say? I'll cover you, the reprise. And honestly, this song was the entire reason that I wanted to be a part of the show. It's the entire reason that I auditioned, because I've been singing this song for years without any real context to it. But I've been singing it for years and years and years, just for like various talent shows or variety shows, this, that, and the other, and it's just one of my favorite songs. And so the prospect of singing the song with a live orchestra, live band behind me, just felt so good. So I'm like, okay, I need to be in the show so I can sing this song. So that's the whole reason I auditioned for it. But then getting actually into the groove of performing and acting and putting the scene in context gave the song a whole different kind of life in my head. So it just I ended up singing completely different than I had sung it in years past. For those who don't know, basically the song, we're setting up the scene where we're at the funeral because my character at the very beginning of the show met basically the love of his life, Angel. So ended up passing because of HIV/AIDS. So for me as a character, my entire character arc from the beginning of the show, from the time the curtain went up until that point, was working towards this particular song. Every connection that I made with other characters, every interaction I had with Angel, every interaction I had on stage, just everything that I did for me personally was working up to this point. I got very, very emotional. There are things that don't necessarily sound perfect or pretty, because again, when I was singing it like in rehearsals or in my house or whatnot, that's one thing. You know, I can make it sound all pretty and perfect and all that kind of stuff. But there's just something about once I got in the environment that a switch just flipped and emotion just came through. So we're gonna watch it through once. I'm gonna try my best not to say anything, and then I'll say whatever little bits of things I have to say. So emotional, and not because I'm like, oh my god, I did such an amazing job, I'm such a great actor, I touched myself. No, it's nothing like that. But I think I've mentioned it a few times on the channel, where I'm the type of performer who, whenever I go to karaoke or whenever I'm in rehearsals for a show or whatever, I always have my phone off to the side and I'm like recording audio notes. But there's something about listening to myself recorded that even when I'm not like actively singing along, that my body just automatically like almost reenacts what I was doing at the time I was singing. So there might be times when I might be listening to something that I did karaoke, it feels a little strained, or it feels a little pulled or a little flat, or something along those lines, where it's like, okay, it's not my normal normal level of singing. And even though like at that moment in the car or wherever I am listening to it, I feel fine. I don't have any kind of sore throat. I don't have any kind of nothing. I'm just sitting there not singing along, but like mentally I might be kind of humming along or whatever, and I can feel my throat start to tighten, or I can feel certain things. So like whatever I'm hearing myself do in those recordings, listening back to it, my body just floats back to that time and just like tries to reenact whatever's happening there. So watching this back, it's a similar kind of thing where it's like I'm almost getting into the same headspace that I was in throughout the run of this show, because it was a very, very emotional headspace. I may or may not have said it before on the channel before, but I am very much someone who loves to sing. I love being a singer, love being a dancer, love being a performer. I hate acting. I hate it because it's such an invasive process for me personally. I love watching other people do amazing jobs acting and whatnot, and I will always, on series that I react to and whatnot, I'll always comment whenever someone's doing a fantastic job acting and bringing a character to life, because I know how difficult of a job it is. It is such an invasive, uncomfortable process for me. That's why usually I tend to stick to like comic relief characters, or sassy, gender neutral or gender bashing kind of characters and whatnot, because I'm like, that just feels more in my natural wheelhouse. Whereas being heavily emotional and raw and exposed like that, it's uncomfortable for me and I don't like it. So like this is one of those shows where I had to do that for this scene specifically, and my brain's just going back to that thought process. I don't like it. I don't like it. But while they're at the funeral, because if you know the show, this scene comes right after big orgy, more or less. Big orgy on stage, and then Angel dies. I have to go from big old party, yeah, I'm getting my freak on mode, to an immediate realization, oh my god, it's over. Party's over. He's gone. And then I have to run off stage, and then all I have is the beginning of this funeral scene to just kind of mentally get myself prepared for the song. And then once I'm there, the rest of the song is just about me reining that in and finding the balance of letting the emotions come out and not compromising my vocals, because at the end of the day, I like to think of myself as a singer more so than an actor, and I would like my vocals to be in the forefront. So once I get myself into that emotional headspace, it's just a balance of, it's this constant push and pull that you'll see throughout. Another thing about this song, for those who aren't familiar, this is the reprise because the song actually happened already in the show, and it was actually a duet between me and Angel. Upbeat, fun, love, happy love. So now it's very much a remembrance. He's not here right now, and this is what makes me feel close to him.
With 1,000 kisses, be my lover, and I'll love you.
And see, that's one point there where, like, before bringing things into context of the show and before like actually getting into the run of the show, I had been singing this song for years and years and years, and whenever I was singing it, it was very much like, okay, I'm gonna sing the song, gonna do whatever, do all this, all that kind of stuff. So that's one point there where normally I'd be like, be my lover, and I'll cover you, yeah, yeah. And I just start doing subtle little things like that. But once I got into the actual, once the show had context for me, a lot of those little additions, we'll call them, they just felt superfluous and just unnecessary. So a lot of things got simplified and stripped back. Not, music director never told me a damn thing. No, nobody was like, hey Topher, you need to calm that down. Well, not. It was just my own thinking. Just right now, that's not what the song's about. The song's not about me going on a vocal showcase and ooh, it ain't about that. Strip it back. So there's a lot of points there where if I were to compare this to like an older performance that I did for just like a variety show or something like that, I would be, you know, doing all this running and all this kind of stuff. So context is very, very, very interesting that way.
Open your door, I'll be your tenant. Don't got much baggage to lay at your feet, but sweet kisses I've got to spend. I'll be there and I'll cover you. I think they meant it when they said you can't buy love. Now I know you can rent it. A new lease, you were my love. On life, oh my life.
Now, you see, at that point there, I pulled up the jacket to look at it. The jacket was it wasn't really even an idea. It's just something I just did, and I wasn't told not to do it. Because at first, when the director staged this scene, they gave us like just generalized areas they wanted us to do, generalized things they wanted to do, and just kind of left things up to our own interpretation. So originally, I was just, you know, walking down and just standing there. But there was just something about, like, in the rehearsal process where I was doing it, and it just felt a little forced. Like, yeah, I'm getting emotional, I'm crying and whatnot, but it felt forced for me. And then there was just one of the tech rehearsals, once we got into the actual space on the stage with the lights and whatnot, I took the coat, because if you know the show, that's at the very beginning of the show, my coat gets stolen. I get mugged on the street, and afterward I come across Angel, and that's the start of our love and our romance. And then about halfway through the show, we're at this big market downtown, and he ends up buying me a coat in the middle of winter, and that's the coat that I wear the rest of the show. So that's the coat that I'm holding in my hands right there, because there's just something about, I just felt like I needed something to hold on to, because I, as a performer in general, I'm a very nervous person. I need something to do with my hands. I remember directors early on just telling me, put your hands in your pockets, because I fiddle, I do things. So I need to transfer that energy somehow. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring this coat out with me. And there's just something about that coat that was like another character on stage for me. It was like I had a piece of Angel right there with me. So there are times throughout where I'm clutching onto the coat while singing, or I'm looking at the coat while singing, and it just brought up this other emotion in me that just felt more real and authentic than me just going on stage and crying because I'm supposed to be sad. So that coat was not nice to my feelings, to say the least.
I'm lost to discover something as true as this is, yeah.
But the thousand weaknesses, I'll cover you with a thousand
Adam Steve.
One and only.
Again, that coat had like some magic witchcraft that just was the final cherry on top of this very, very sad Sunday, and it just brought out this new level of just emotion that I was not expecting. There were times when the two on the side of me, Maureen and Mimi, were physically holding me up because I was ready to just like buckle over onto the ground. it wasn't until I think like the third night or so of performances that I ended up falling to my knees at this point. Every other time I would just stand there and like buckle over and just like sob, and they would attend to me. But I remember like that third night, I think it was like our first like Saturday show or something like that. A lot of people in the cast had people in the audience, and they wanted to show off. They wanted to show up and show out for the people in the audience. So what we rehearsed, the show we rehearsed, things that they did, they were adding all kinds of vocal runs and riffs and all kinds of stuff they'd never done in rehearsal, never done in performances before, and they were just showing up and showing out. Some of them I was like, okay, y'all better work, and other times I'm like, okay, y'all working a little too hard. Let's reel it back, y'all. We over singing a little bit. Let's calm it down, y'all. But like they were showing up and showing out. I am not the kind of person who likes to spontaneously try things when it comes to like my singing. Like if I'm at karaoke or something like that, you will almost never catch me doing a song that I have not already rehearsed in my car, in my shower, in A, B, C, D. Very rarely will you catch me doing like some sort of kamikaze karaoke where I'm just getting up there just doing a song because someone recommended the song or because the song popped in my head without having any kind of practice. Very rarely, because 9 times out of 10 there are things that just don't work, things that might work in my head, but when I actually get to the part and I have to sing it, it's like, ooh, that goes differently than my voice wanted to go, or something along those lines. So I like to just be rehearsed. I like to know what I'm going to do. I don't like to just like flip the script. So when they were all out there like wilding and doing all this kind of stuff, I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and compromise my moment because I don't. Again, I've not practiced anything different, so I'm not going to do something different and then risk it being bad when I have family in the audience. No. So I was like, you know what? But I can still add a little something. I can add a little spice. So then at that moment, I was like, I dropped my fucking knees. And the people on stage and my mama in the audience were shook. They were like, after the performance, when I went to see my family and whatnot, my mom was like, oh my God, I thought I don't know what. I was about to run up on stage because I just never seen you like that. And I'm like, I had to give it a little extra something. Everybody else is doing something extra. So yeah, that whole knee falling thing wasn't an actual character choice for me until like everybody else in the cast decided that they wanted to be extra. I was like, okay, fine. I'll give y'all a little flair for the dramatics. I'm gonna keep my vocals the same, but I'm gonna give y'all a little dramatic something. And I ended up just liking the choice. I'm like, okay, we're gonna keep it. But you might notice here I was a little bit more tentative on getting to my knees because that first time I just bam dropped. But I'm not exactly 21 anymore. These knees ain't young. We can't just be using and abusing them like that. So I was a little bit more delicate in getting to my knees. Here, I'll take it back. See, one knee, then the other knee. And then once I was down there sobbing, this is the last time I'm gonna pause it because we're at the end of the song. But once I was down there sobbing, it was literally a mental conversation in my head. Like, okay, you've gotten to the emotional part. You've served up the emotion hot like cheese grits. You've given the audience all the feels. Rein it in so you can sing this last note, girl. You got one note, and it's up in your mix. And you can't get to your mix very well if you're out here all cried up. So baby, calm your nerves so you can hit this last note. Some nights I did. Some nights I didn't. It all just depends on how emotional I got and how early into that crying process I started having the conversation with myself to calm the fuck down. So I think this was one instance where I did not start that conversation early enough. So I wasn't able to quite hit that last note quite how I wanted to. See, it was flat. I'll cover you. I'm not warmed up right now, so I'm not about to belt that out. But yes, that was terribly flat, which I'll give some leeway again because emotion took over, and I know how difficult it is to sing when you are in an emotionally charged state. That's why I always give props to singers that I react to on the channel whenever you can see that they're visibly in a very emotionally heightened state and they still slay. I've said it a million times about Kelly Clarkson being able to sing through crying and still maintain her head voice and her falsetto. I don't get it, because my head voice, first thing that goes as soon as I start crying, it's gone, and then it works its way down. Then goes my mix, and then, well, I've never gotten so bad where I can't sing in my chest voice. My chest voice is always reliable, but like she always just is able to pop out that head voice, just amazing. I'm like, you better work. And so many other people, Regine Velasquez, and so many people I've seen on this channel. It's just remarkable. But yeah, so for me, some nights that note would be on pitch, it would be in tune, and other nights it wouldn't. And you know, it was just a matter of whether or not I was able to calm myself down emotionally in time for it. In hindsight, like, I wish that we had this recording earlier in the process, right? Because then I would have mentally made notes like, okay, that note you're hitting, it, even though you know in your heart while singing it, it's not quite there. Hearing it is another thing, and it's like, oh, it's definitely not quite there. And I would have made changes. I would have narrowed out that. I wouldn't have tried to make it so spread and so full voice. I would have thinned it out and just pointed it a little bit more towards my nose, made it a little more nasal, and I'll cover you, like just very nasal, very forward, just to get that out so it's not super flat. I'd rather have it be super nasal than have it be super flat. And it ended up being super flat many a times. But again, I give myself a little pass because of the emotion and whatnot. But yeah, that is, I've babbled a long time. This video is much longer than I thought it was going to be. Go figure. In my head I always think, okay, these little ReactCeptions are going to be like a little quick little 5-10 minutes, and now I'm not going to have much to say, and then here we go. So who knows, maybe I'll split this into 2 videos, or maybe it'll just be one long video that 6 of you will watch. We'll see. But anyway, you made it to this point. I hope you leave a comment. Put a what should we put down so I know that you guys made it to this point? Put a star. Yeah, put a star emoji down in the comments if you made it this far. Or if you're on a computer and you don't have access to a star emoji, just type star and I'll know. But I hope you guys enjoyed this ReactCeption video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications to be notified when all my shenanigans get posted. If there's anything else you'd like me to react to, or if you have any other ideas for ReactCeption videos, let me know, and I'll see about seeing, you know, if I can make that happen. So far I've only ReactCeption to myself, but maybe I might ReactCeption to someone. Maybe I'll hit up Synergic and say, hey, can I react to one of your videos? Do you give me permission? Who knows? We'll see. You guys can let me know. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Love ya. Mwah.